gamers. Pokemon, we love Pokemon. I love Pokemon opinions on the internet. Inject it right into my veins. I'm gonna go to my favorite guy on planet Earth, Rogue Renegade. Oh my lord, I love the way he said people online in his last video that we covered. So when he says, was Pokemon Sword and Shield really that bad? Is he gonna be the guy that changes the tide? Is he gonna be the guy that sets the narrative? Because if you ask me, the game sucked. They sucked real fucking bad. But Rogue Renegade has a chance here to convince the final boss of Pokemon opinions, the self-proclaimed final boss, I'll have you say. So before I go, actually, chat, what are some thoughts on Sword and Shield? If you ask me, the game sucked. If right now, you said gun to your heads, your entire family's gonna die. You have to make a video like this defending Sword and Shield. What do you say? I've got a couple of points I would say if I had to make this video. So I'm gonna write down a couple of bullet points, and if he touches upon any of those, I'll give him some points. All right, I wrote down 5 points real quick. If I had to defend it, I'm gonna keep them close to my chest. I'll reveal them at the end if you guys want to see them. But if I had to make a defense of Sword and Shield, I have 5 things that I would talk about, that I would glaze this game about, and I want to see if he touches upon any of them. Uncanny how this is like, it's like how people glazing Street Fighter 5 and turning on Street Fighter 6, even though there was no arcade or story launch. It happens with every series, right? Like the cycle. Doesn't this happen with Paper Mario as well? Paper Mario Andy's can help me. Does this happen with Pikmin? I don't know. Does it happen with Pikmin? Below mid, and I grew up with this shit. I'm so sorry. I found them pretty good. Some of the good characters, but a decent bit of it that was bad. Oof. I played for an hour and gave up. Oh boy. I have no thoughts. Play Pokemon, Brad, okay? It's good, I promise. It's good, I swear. Play Pokemon Scarlet, I promise you'll like it, okay? And if you don't, you're wrong, and I'll hate you forever. Imagine that, okay? Imagine that, Mr. Gringle, man. Your goat will hate you forever. I know your goat isn't out, but it's me now. Okay, shut up. Sword and Shield was my first Pokemon game I played in full, and I did not enjoy my time with it. Oh! Oh my god! That's even worse. Normally your first Pokemon game is supposed to be your goat. Oh, it's painfully okay. Fair. It did suck. Past the stuff with Dexit DLC to make the game better, it didn't sit well with me. Fair. It's my first Pokemon game. I was still in the tutorial, so I'm interested in what he has to say. Ooh, okay. I liked it when I first played, but now the Scarlet Violet, I see that these games are mid as hell. Should have too much hand holding with the music fucking slaps based. I played in early 2024, and I don't think I'll play it again, to be honest. I still have yet to replay it, so I do want to, just to make sure I refine my take the most. A lot of things suck, but the music slaps. I think it would be a cold day in hell if they make Pokemon music bad, you know? It'll be a cold day in hell. It really will. Yeah, that's some... It seems like the general consensus is game bad. So, same take as me. So, let's get started, shall we? Mr. Renegades. Let's do some people online. Let's do it.
Now look, I get it. Talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield in 2024 is like beating a dead horse. Show is already over, get a move on. But I think this is the perfect time to look back on Sword and Shield and really see it for all that it was. It's been 5 years since the games were released, and since then, most of the controversy has died down for the most part. So, I think this is a good time to ask, was Pokemon Sword and Shield really that bad? Believe it or not, my hatred for Sword and Shield is what initially jump-started my YouTube channel. So, I already formed my opinion all the way back then.
Oh, don't tell me, guys. He's gonna have trolls remorse. Is he gonna have trolls remorse? It's that thing where, like, when you shit on a thing, when, like, you build your whole career on shitting on a thing, and then now obviously you're in, like, a different spot in your life, so you're like, oh, like, is that what is getting your post-troll clarity? Oh man, it might be. Oh no!
But that was Little Rogue. What about slightly less Little Rogue? If some of my opinions have changed since then, remember guys, that's a good thing. If you don't ever stop to question if you're right about something, you'll always be blind to the truth.
Thank you for explaining that concept. I mean, to be fair, you are a channel that's geared towards 10-year-olds, so I appreciate you explaining that, but the rest of the class all kind of know, but fair, okay.
It's fine to switch.
Guys, changing your opinion over time is good. Remember, guys? Did you know this? Thank you.
Job. You're not permanently locked into a certain way of thinking.
Yeah,
It's stupid. Everyone always hears about all the negatives Sword and Shield has to offer, and I don't want to start off the video on a bad note. So let's focus on what made this game great first before we dive any deeper into the controversies. Okay. Something I absolutely adored in Pokemon Sword and Shield was the character customization. For once, it didn't feel like I was dressing up my character as someone else. It felt like my character was someone else. Everyone looked super unique. No two trainers looked alike, and all the clothes we got to wear were really diverse. Seriously.
I think now granted, I haven't really gone band for band. I feel like I like the character customization in Gen 6 more. Again, don't hold me to that. I've not like looked at them side to side. you know? But I feel like the designs in Gen 6 were better. I feel like they were. But either way, they have this.
Just take a look at all of these. Everyone has their own sense of style that you can see reflected by their character. Here's mine. You can probably tell from the black, red, and blue. The one slight gripe I have is that you weren't able to change your gym challenge uniform, but that's okay. It only happened like 8 times, so after you were done with that, you never really saw it again. There were also a ton of hairstyles you could choose from, and a ton of different eyes too. So look at these funny ones. The thing I think they got absolutely perfect were the trainer models. They're exactly how I would envision Pokemon's art style to translate into 3D. They're bright and colorful, they look soft, they're expressive, and they retain that anime art style Pokemon has had for years. Seriously, this is a one-to-one port. It's perfect. Then came Scarlet and Violet and threw all of that out of the window. Just look at the uncanny valley we're in now. While yes, I loved Scarlet and Violet as games, they really...
I don't think Scarlet and Violet were that bad. Like, the customization was a bit lacking, sure, but I think the characters look fine, but I guess different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
They missed the mark when it came to character models.
And also, can we talk about what you like about the Sword and Shield more, please? I liked it better when you're talking why you like that game, you know?
Video is not about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, more on that another day. I think the curry eating animation is enough to convince you why I love these models so much. They're so good and expressive. Look at them. They're so happy. The character designs were cool too. There's so many iconic designs in this game. Marnie's outfit and design just fits her perfectly. I love it. Alistair always looked super cool to me, especially because of the mask that he wears. Leon's outfit, while not particularly looking good, it's so loud and obnoxious that it's iconic. Sonya has a laid-back vibe to her, which I really liked. And Bede looks like such an egotistical bitch, and I loved it. Please give us more rivals like him. I think you get the idea by now. They're all pretty awesome, at least most of them. Pokemon music is always incredible, and Sword and Shield did a really great job yet again. So many of the tracks are just ingrained in my brain. The Wild Encounter theme is awesome, but the first one I always immediately think of is the gym battle theme. It sounds so fucking cool. It tickles my brain every time. The electronic instruments are going crazy. I always thought it was super cool that when the gym leader finally Dynamaxes, that's when the beat drops and the crowd starts cheering. It's such a nice touch, and they really didn't have to do all that. But
that is one of the things I wrote down, by the way, if you're curious. One of the 5 things I wrote down. I do like the character designs more in SWSH, if I'm being honest. Oh, you know, I'd give him that. I'll give him that as well. I think the characters, I don't mind them in SV, but you know, fair. I'll give it to him.
But I'm glad they did. Marnie and Bede also have really great themes too. They're just so good, I can't explain it. Pops is a little more chill and happy sounding, and while I like Marnie's and Bede's theme better, this one's alright. It's not bad by any means. There aren't really a lot of town themes that really stuck out to me though. I mean, they're good, they fit the town that they belong to. What I'm trying to say is that there's no Driftvale City equivalent. Like, I don't hear a song and I'm like, oh my god, this is going on my playlist. It's just, you know, fits the theme. A lot of these songs I don't even remember, if I'm being honest. I do have to say this again though, because someone's gonna try and twist my words.
People on! I would say I don't necessarily disagree. I don't, off the top of my head right now, I don't really remember a lot of the town and city themes, except maybe Winden, maybe Wedgehurst as well. But yeah, I don't really remember too many of them, I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, I don't necessarily disagree.
The songs aren't bad. I don't hate them. Hell, even if I did, my opinion shouldn't matter to you. I'm just some fucking guy on the internet. Okay.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
I think that Sword and Shield's UI was actually
Jesus
pretty good. Just look at these
Christ,
menus. I like how stylized everything is and how easy.
He just can't help himself, can he? He just can't help himself. He's actually making a decent video here, but he can't help himself and go, well, guys, remember, guys? He can't help but like, do you know what it is? Do you know what that feels like? I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Like, when I harp on this shit, I don't know if you guys are going, Moresty, it's not that bad. I don't know why you're complaining. Do you know what this feels like to me when people do this? I want to make it clear. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like when you're in school, right? And the class, and the teacher, like, teaching the class, the class clown is like making like a fart sound or something, and the teacher stops the whole lesson to give a lecture. Guys, we shouldn't be making noise in the class, okay? I'm trying to read. Well, anyway, and then the kid does it again, and it's like in your head you're like, just throw him out of the class, 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 please, I want to work, just throw him out of the class. But then she keeps stopping the lesson to go, that's what this feels like. I just want to get that's what this feels like, okay? He's talking to Pokemon fans, so it's justifiable to a degree. Maybe listen, I don't know, maybe when I cover more Pokemon, I might agree, right? But there's nothing of value to be gained when you make a comment of, just to clarify for the people at the back have already written their comment. when people like me are just like rolling our eyes, like, I don't care. So I just want to be clear, Rogue Renegade, right? That's how you sound to all of us. That's how you sound to all of us, and everyone's getting it. When I make an analogy, I'm glad I made an analogy that people can understand, because whenever people do the whole people online thing, that's what it sounds like to me. Just kick that fucking dog shit kid out of the class, and then the rest of us do our classwork. Okay, that's what it feels like to me. I don't know. Let's continue.
It is to navigate. It actually does it better than Scarlet and Violet. I feel like I'm always getting lost using those menus. They also just aren't exactly stylized. They're pretty bare bones. Not bad by any means, but not wow, you know? The DLC was really the shining star of the whole Sword and Shield experience. This was the first time Pokemon has ever done DLC, so a lot of people didn't really know how to feel, but I think it was a major success. The story in the Isle of Armor, while short, was enjoyable, and I did really like Clara's character. Her toxicness was a nice change of pace from all the generic happy-go-lucky rivals we get nowadays.
I know Isle of Armor was kind of boring, I'm gonna be honest. Isle of Armor was kind of boring. Actually, both DLCs were kind of boring, if I'm gonna be honest. The only... Weirdo? The only thing I liked about the DLC was what, the Dynamax Adventures? So I'm just like... The rest of the DLC was just kind of... You know?
It is. Oh yeah, also there's Avery. No one really cares about Avery. The first DLC, the Isle of...
Are you telling me you don't like Avery because he's a guy, that's why? You don't like that? That's my theory. That's my theory, Rogue Renegade. You don't like him because he's a guy and Clara's a woman, so you like the woman more. Sexist.
Armor gives you access to a new wild area, older Pokemon, a few new features for quality of life, and that's about it. I didn't do a great job of explaining it, I know, but I did really enjoy it. The new songs were really great too, mostly Clara's theme. I love her theme so much. The Crown Tundra is what people consider the better of the two DLCs, mostly because of max raid duns. You could catch legendary Pokemon in there, shiny hunt, and it was just overall really fun. It added a ton of replayability. There was also a short story and a new place to explore, but if I'm being honest, I still haven't finished the DLC entirely. But from what I've played, I love Peony. He's such a funny character.
Wow, so you haven't even finished it and you're gonna make... Hang on. Mr. Renegade, surely. I do say Mr. Renegades. You're telling me you didn't even beat the whole thing before making this video, and you're gonna mention this as a plus point in your video? Remember, guys, at least the IGN guy played the game. You didn't even finish the whole fucking game? Like, what? Which, hey, just to clarify, fair. The DLC is fucking boring, but at least I finished it. I got my Calyrex Ice Rider at the end of it. I don't know why I didn't go for Shadow Rider. Don't ask me. Okay, I don't know why I didn't go for it. But I got my Calyrex Ice Rider at the end of it. Very interesting, Mr. Renegade. Very interesting. Not how I would make a video personally. If I'm glazing Swish in the big 25. Very strange. Very strange thing to admit. And also, I did see your dono there, Mr. Camp. I'll just say it once. Either that or you forgo it, because people online will always be people online. You're never going to reach them in the PSA. Yeah. I think the analogy I made was perfect. Really, you're never gonna go through to the people with a rant. You're just never gonna. And the DLC isn't even that long, neither. Why would you admit this in your video, Mr. Renegade? Why would you admit this? Because it was boring. I can say it was boring because I beat it. I don't know. That's very strange. Very strange. I'm gonna be honest with you, brother.
And I love his dynamic with his daughter. Also, I'm like pretty sure that's Penny's dad. I don't know if it's been officially confirmed. It probably has been, but that's
It has, loser. It has.
Penny's dad.
Read the dialogue.
Cool. What Sword and Shield lacked was a better post game, and these DLCs really did add a lot of replayability. So I'm really grateful for that. Overall, the characters in the base game, the Isle of Armor, and the DLC were all super fun, and I love them all. Marnie, Bede, Hop, Leon, Sonia, Peony, Peonia, that old guy from the Isle of Armor, Clara, Alistair, hell, even Bald Guy. They're all great. I think this is the Pokemon game with the most amount of characters that I like. A lot of the new Pokemon introduced in this generation were...
Bald Guy was pretty iconic, I'll give you that.
Really cool too. Well, yeah, there weren't a lot of new ones. The ones they did add are instant staples. I love the starters. Corviknight is cool, Hatterene too, Grimmsnarl's awesome, Alcremie is a cool concept. I love Applin and its evolutions, the Galarian form Pokemon too. I could go on and on. They're just all really great. I can't really think of any bad designs if I'm being honest.
What's it? I always feel like this point is like one of those like filler points. It's one of those like Naruto filler points whenever you mention the Pokemon in a Pokemon game, because say it with me, chat, the Pokemon games in most games tend to have good designs, and there's usually a couple of stinkers, but most of them tend to be pretty good. Thank you. So like whenever you say, oh, but the Pokemon is so cool, it's like, Same thing could be said about every gen. Literally every gen. I would say that on average, like 20% of the designs tend to be like fantastic, like amazing. 5% of them tend to suck, and then the other bunch tend to be pretty good, serviceable. You know, that's kind of how it works generally. But sure.
Let me think. I didn't like Bolton that much. I felt like
Crazy.
the Emperor was a lot cuter. And it's not bad. I really can't think of any. Actually, no, never mind. The fucking what's his name? Braxcalibur. That stupid fuck.
Oh my. Funny. Very. You know. Fair. You gotta laugh at me. Wrong gen. Sure. Firstly, being a Baxcalibur hater in the Big 25 is wacky work, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what Wrong gen, brother. Wrong gen.
With a giant crown hat. I hate him. But other than that, they're cool. The world was pretty fun to explore. One big gripe that I had was not being able to move the camera, but I got used to it. And plus they let you do it in the wild area, but more on that later. I also just hated that you couldn't enter people's homes anymore, which saying that out loud kind of makes me sound like a monster. Please don't put me on a watch list. I feel like it wouldn't have been too hard to add since most of the time houses in the Pokemon world are just rooms in a dark void, but oh well. A lot of the cities and towns were really pretty. There were tons of memorable locations scattered around the map. Hammerlock looks so fucking cool. I would
say a lot of the towns and cities look good, but I wouldn't say any of them are memorable. I think he's using the wrong word. I would say that very few of the towns, except maybe the one town that's just one city that's just an alleyway. But how iconically shit it is. But other than that, I would say a lot of these look nice. Like Hammerlock looks nice. Wedgehurst looks nice. A lot of these look nice, but I wouldn't say they're memorable. I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't say they're memorable. Happy New Year. Mostly Happy New Year to you, Jacob guy. Happy New Year to you.
The architecture, that one forest place with the glowing mushrooms, that was really beautiful. Of course, the wild area, which again, more on that later. Then we have the ghetto. Yeah, it's pretty much just the ghetto of Galar. They don't even have their own stadium. What the hell, Chairman Rose? And while the map is pretty lit,
you're not going to mention that was an alleyway? No? Okay.
Here, I mean, just look at it. It's just a straight line to the Pokemon League. Let's not lie to ourselves. Pokemon has always been pretty linear when it comes to exploration. They just usually hide it way better than just having a straight line to travel across. And for what it's worth, I do think the map is better than Scarlet and Violet's. The one in that game just felt really barren, and some towns didn't really feel like towns. Again, I just want to say, I love Scarlet and Violet. Probably the most fun I've had playing a Pokemon game in a very
has to do the people on again.
Very long time. The game has some flaws, man. I'm not gonna be biased and say it was perfect. No game is. Okay, maybe one. While the wild area was
classic, I would say the towns and cities probably look more interesting in SWSH than SV did, but we're comparing like rotten apples to rotten oranges, if we're being honest. I think the town and city designs in Pokemon games like after Gen 5 kind of suffered as a whole, but that's a thesis I'll talk about some other time.
Wasn't as big as I wanted it to be. I did really like exploring them. I wish more of them were scattered throughout the region. Scarlet and Violet, of course, expanded upon this and made the entire region essentially one big wild area. And I loved it so much. So I hope they do that again one day. I think they did a better job with it in Legends Arceus. However, again, I hated how barren it felt to explore. There was nothing out there. And it makes sense because it was a long time ago, but still. The raid dens were also really fun to partake in. I spent a lot of time battling in those, grinding for items and whatnot. And whenever I would see a shiny, it was really satisfying. What I can really appreciate is that Sword and Shield made it super easy to get into competitive Pokemon. They introduced Nature Mints, which could change your Pokemon's nature. They made it easier to get bottle caps, which can max out your Pokemon's IVs, and EV training was made super simple. And by super simple, I mean you could just go into your settings and just change the time, but still, super simple. You could also easily level up your Pokemon with rare candies, which in the main story, yeah, it's kind of lame. Don't do that, please. But in the post game, when you're just trying to assemble a really strong team, it's really convenient. You have
I will give them, it's just true. I mean, to be fair, the same thing could also be said about SV, but I guess it's fair to give Scarlet and Violet credit for this, since it was the first to do it. But yeah, you're not wrong, fair.
All the tools to...
Although I do think they've been like trending towards making it more user-friendly as the games have gone on. Although I will say can't fucking talk, man. My brain's still fried. Although I will say Sword and Shield probably did it, like the accessibility way more than like Gen 7 did. Yeah, they did a good job with this. Let's put it that way.
raise your competitive teams to the potential that you want. In older games, it was extremely time consuming, so not a lot of people invested that time in, and they cheated. But thankfully now it's super simple and easy. People still cheat though. Pretty lame. A lot of the features are pretty...
Oh, is he one of those? Is he one of those? Oh no! The loser cares that people gen. Loser. Let people gen. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Oh man! See, how are you making a pretty decent video about Sword and Shield where I'm like, a lot of the points are kind of, some of the points are kind of, and then like you just casually mention, oh, the Jenners, the Jenners. I'm like, who cares? Who gives a shit? No. Why do you care, Rogue Renegade? Why do you care? No. Oh, poor guy.
Charming. And the game is fun, but I mean, all Pokemon games are. It just didn't live up to our expectations, and it was also just sad seeing Game Freak cut corners where they didn't need to. This isn't really specific to Sword and Shield, since in every game you can shiny hunt, but shiny hunting was pretty fun here. I do prefer the idea of a daycare rather than having a picnic. I don't know why Scarlet and Violet did that. They just kind of overcomplicated things. Having access to your PC box is such a game changer.
No, if anything, I like the picnic system, because it meant you could get eggs basically anywhere you wanted. I mean, I don't mind the daycare system, but like, I'm not going to poo-poo one and praise the other. They're both just kind of like, oh, okay, this is how you get eggs. Very strange, Mr. Renegade, I'm going to be honest.
Changing quality of life feature that I'm super happy Sword and Shield brought. You didn't have to make useless trips to your PC anymore. And if you were the type of player who liked using more than just a base party, you could switch out whenever you want. It was just perfect. Something I didn't know I needed to be grateful for was fast box loading. Whenever you're cycling through boxes, there's no wait time. And I mean, why would there be? They're just a bunch of sprites. But in Scarlet and Violet, there is a wait time. And you just have to sit there and wait until it loads. And
admittedly, I'm not going to defend Scarlet and Violet on that. Do you really have to, in order to mention that as a plus for SWSH, do you have to, again, it's a fundamentally flawed way of praising a game. It's like, hey, look how fast the menus are, unlike SV. It's like, is this, sure, I guess? I
genuinely cannot fathom why this happens.
Neither can I, but is this a relevant point to bring out in your video? I wouldn't say so, but okay.
Bytes of data. Literal kilobytes. There's no reason they should be taking a while to load. That's absurd. They did later go on to fix this in a patch update, though, so thank God.
And they fixed in a patch, so what was the overall point of bringing this up?
I think the Pokemon camp feature was pretty...
Maybe that one should have stayed away from the script, brother. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe.
Pretty cute. It was fun seeing your Pokemon just play around and whatnot. I didn't use it that much on my adventure because I thought it was just a Pokemon me without being able to pet your Pokemon, but I wish I did use it more. Because seriously, just look at this. It's adorable.
I mean, you got the picnic mode? Isn't that similar enough?
Curry was pretty fun too. Although I do hate that it's super hard to fuck up Curry. Like, I genuinely tried my best to burn it, and it just wouldn't burn. So it kind of makes the good curry I make feel less rewarding. That's pretty much all the good things I had to say about Pokemon Sword and Shield, but it's time for all the negatives. Just what about these games made them so hated? One of the biggest criticisms Sword and Shield faces are its graphics. And yeah, they can be pretty rough around the edges. I know I praised the character models earlier, and I don't take back any of what I said. They did a great job. What people mainly refer to are the environments. To put it bluntly, it looks horrible and still kind of do. I think the main thing that made it look so terrible is that they tried to go for a detailed look, but they couldn't make it too realistic or else it would look really strange. So they made it lower quality to try and blunt things in, but now it just looks like shit. At least I'm assuming that's what happened. It could just be that they genuinely made horrible textures and didn't bother fixing them, but there's no way, right? Like, this had to have been intentional. I feel like I could do a better job, but nobody really knows what exactly happened. I do think, though, that if they went for a more cartoony, vibrant look, the game would look leagues better than what it does now. And the majority of people wouldn't really complain. Don't wash out the colors. Embrace them. Now, graphics aren't that important to me. I honestly don't care how the game looks, just as long as it's fun. But when they do cut a lot of corners in Sword and Shield, and the game's still lacking in a lot of areas, it just kind of feels like a big fuck you. Much like the graphics, the animations in Sword and Shield are one of the major complaints. And I think that those complaints are justified. A lot of the animations are just Pokemon sliding around, or hopping, or some laser beam coming out of thin air. Even in cutscenes, they don't even bother animating them. Like, what?
Yeah, we all kind of know that. As someone who isn't a Pokemon fan, I realize how bad Pokemon takes could be. I mean, at least when he was praising Sword and Shield, it was like, wasn't the word. Like, it wasn't like the Saul Goodman defense. It was more of like the local fucking defense attorney kind of defense. It's like, it'll get the job done, but if you can pay for a better lawyer, you would. Let's put it, yeah, I think that's the best way to sum up the video so far. You're not getting Saul Goodman. You're definitely not getting Saul Goodman with this. You're getting like your local like civil defense attorney. You know what I mean? He's the guy that's assigned to you by the state. You know what I mean? He's like got 7 cases a day. So you're just like, he's good at what he does. He's been in the lawyer business for like 20 years, but it's like, he's tired. He hasn't had a day off in like months. You know what I mean? So it's like, some of the points you're going to go, oh, but then like others, you're going to be like, and then sometimes he might just mention a non sequitur out of nowhere. You know, you're just like, you know what I mean? That's what this feels like.
What the hell is this? Genuinely, what is this? This is a AAA game? Are you serious? It's just disappointing in every way possible. I understand that creating animations for every single Pokemon out there is a huge task. Don't get me wrong, but they didn't need to create any new models or anything, so the majority of their time could have gone to animations. They've remained the same since X and Y, which was almost 10 years ago. You would think by then they'd be able to take some time and make some animations that actually look good. They could also just reuse them. I just don't like how static the Pokemon look.
And also, I feel like we all kind of know this. We all kind of know this. Like, I feel like this is probably not one of the points you don't really harp on in a video like this, because like we all kind of know. We all kind of know the animations suck in Pokemon games, you know? That's not an excuse, obviously, but I'm just saying, of all the points to harp on in your retrospective of Sword and Shield, I'd say this is like, that's what I mean, yeah, it's like an over-talked point by now. So it's like one of those things where, if I'm making the video, I'd be like, yeah, some of the animations are kind of like, but yeah, they seem to be getting better with it in SV, but this is definitely one of those ones where it's like, and then you just move on after that, you know? You just move on, because it's like, we all know. We all kind of know. You're not really treading new ground, very old ground, actually. The Twinkle Tackle, the Twinkle Tackle. Oh, man.
Judging by how unpolished the game feels, it really makes me wonder where most of the development time went. I understand that game development takes time, and sometimes you gotta make sacrifices. And they claim that getting rid of most of the Pokemon was so that they had time to give the Pokemon that were in the game better animations. But
which we all know was a lie.
This was just a straight up lie.
Yeah.
But with the transition to the Nintendo Switch hardware with its,
Again, this is something we all kind of know. You're kind of bogging down the video a little bit, Mr. Renegade, I'm gonna be honest.
much more powerful, allowing us to be much more expressive
We
with
all
each
know.
of the individual Pokemon.
And this is
just
the
a
biggest
lie?
controversy I think we've ever seen in the Pokemon community. The Pokedex in Sword and Shield was cut almost in half, maybe more. And people were not happy. I sure.
Now, okay, is Rogue Renegade gonna have the level 2 take? Or is he after 5 years, he's stuck on the level 1 take? Because the level 2 take, if you ask me, is at some point, let's be real here. At some point, they had to cut the amount of Pokemon in the game to a fine amount. They had to. Like, we were like near reaching 1,000 at this point, right? So they kind of had to. So Sword and Shield was the full guy. You know, it was the full guy. It was playing like full mountain, and it fell. You know, the last minute before it could grab the crown. So, and I personally think, as we've had with Sword and Shield and with SV, I think 400 is a very solid number. And usually they add what, like 200 more after that? I think 400 is a very solid number. At no point, well, all the criticism I'll give Sword and Shield and SV, one of the things I won't say is that I never at one point felt like they were repeating too many Pokemon. Which just goes to show that 400 is actually a really solidly good number to land on. It gives you enough new Pokemon with enough old returning Pokemon where you have enough going on for it. And if the SV is anything to go by, the quality of like the textures and the animations are getting a little better. Are they still what we deserve? No. But some of the Pokemon look a lot nicer in SV, but simply because they have a smaller pool of Pokemon to work with. Ideally in Gen 10, they look even better and are even more refined. So is he going to have the level 2 take where he's like, at the time this was really annoying, but I think if time has gone on to show anything, it proved to be something that, while it wasn't done gracefully, it had to be done eventually, and 400 Pokemon is a solid number. That's the level 2 take. And I hope Rogue Renegade has that instead of the level 1 take. I think he's going to have the level 1 one because I have no confidence in him. But let's see. Let's see what he has to say. Let me read the chat there. Personally, never minded the Dex cut, especially as a Smogon player. Smoking. But you're a Jenner. You're a filthy Jenner. That's what you are. Probably is a level 0.5. I believe in Rogue Renegade, okay? I understand why they did it, but they didn't convey in the right way. No, definitely not. I'm never going to defend the way they went about it. I think they should have just been straight up honest with us and be like, guys, we're reaching 1,000 at this point, okay? 400 is a good number, I promise. I promise. Just stick with us, okay? We promise it's a good number. Because it did turn out to be a good number. I like the number 400. It's a really solid number of Pokemon to have in each game. I'd much rather they turn to pixel style. Boring take. Camp MVP. Boring. I agree. People also complained it's in the original black and white, but now people love those games. I love the Pokemon cycle. At the time, people did hate it, just to clarify. I remember being around the Pokemon fan base around this time. People fucking hated black and white because they couldn't get their Charizard. Believe me, people fucking hated that game. It was unreal. Can I not? Thank you. If every Pokemon was in one game, catching them all would be very tedious. It certainly would. I think Gen 7 did it best where they had the regional Pokedex and no national Dex, but you still bring the Pokemon Dex. So ideally, this would be the way they do it, but like at some point, they kind of had to do a Dex. They kind of had to. That's my theory anyway. Realistically, would I rather the way you just said it? Yes, of course. Realistically, they kind of had to. At least that's what I think anyway. I don't know. Maybe I'm just coping. Maybe I'm just coping too much. It had to happen at some point, especially with the Pokemon's development time. It doesn't suck that was the first console out, of course. The Voyage is a good job. See, Carl's just copying my takes. He's a copycat. Copycat. All right, Rogue Renegade. I believe in you, Rogue Renegades. Are you going to have the level 2 Dexit take? The floor is yours, brother.
As hell wasn't. The incompetence of Game Freak. Holy fucking shit, dude. I woke up and immediately started swinging. I ruined all my chances of a sponsor day one. In every Pokemon game before this, you were able to use all of your beloved Pokemon, at least in the post game, which makes sense. I don't see why they would cut them, you know? I'm really confused though, because I had originally thought that this was because most of the 3D models needed to be made, but they were already made. They've been using the same models from X and Y. And the second excuse was, oh, they just needed time to make the animations. But the animations they're not there. And to make matters worse, they didn't give it back to us in a free update. It was locked behind a paywall. Why? It just felt really scummy. Not only did they lie about improving the game quality, not only did they lie about the reasoning, but now they're trying to monetize their laziness. It just felt like being in an abusive relationship. What the hell? They do the bare minimum and then try to mask it as something rewarding after.
An abusive relationship with a video game that you could just stop playing, by the way, guys. An extremely unusual analogy to use there, Mr. Renegade. I'm going to be honest with you. If I was your co-writer on this script, I would have said you can use a different phrase. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. You can use a different phrase. Because let's pretend we're talking about baby games, okay? A baby game you could easily stop playing. I'm going to be honest. I do not endorse that. Mr. Renegade. And I think you should probably cut that out of the script. I'm going to be honest. A bit embarrassing. Highly embarrassing.
With Pokemon taking the jump to the big boy console, I thought it would have been the perfect time to introduce voice acting. You would think since Zelda had done that.
This is true. This is just facts, really.
Now would be the perfect time for Pokemon to do it too, right? It's not even strange.
Okay, where do we stand on the voice acting question, my fellow Pokemon fans? For me, if you go like full voice acting, or like the Persona dialogue style of voice acting, where like they say the first couple of words and then leave it at that, I'd be okay with either. So either full or partial. They need to, okay? Please, give me something. I need it. At this point, I'm kind of scared of it. Either the voice acting is good and we all like it, or the voice acting is bad and we can kind of make fun of it. Either way, it's a win for me. It's a win.
For Pokemon to have voice acting. The anime has been around for as long as the series has, but no, we still have no voice acting. Even in Scarlet and Violet, it makes a lot of scenes where there's supposed to be a character talking look extremely awkward and cringy, and I hate it. I think it's most noticeable in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Again, this video is not about that, but it just reinforces—
Wow, it's not about that, and you keep bringing it up, Mr. Renegade. It's your script. You can cut it. That's like the fourth time now? 4 times, Jeremy? 4 times? 4 times, Mr. Renegade. Brother, that's 2 howlers in a minute. First, you compare Pokemon to an abusive relationship. Strange comparison. I would never make that comparison personally. And then you mentioned Scarlet again. A game that you allegedly like. Brother. Chicanerous behavior.
Versus this idea. Some of the scenes in that game were really sad, but I couldn't really feel much because there just wasn't a voice attached. There wasn't any emotion. It just felt strange. I'm not saying every piece of dialogue needs to be voiced, just the story related ones. I mean, just look at some of these scenes. They're terrible.
Okay, this is the most infamously terrible one of all. Well, are you really telling me that the scene in... I'm going to mention SV then. If you're going to mention SV, I'm going to mention it. You telling me the Arvin scene when like Mabosstiff like finally is better didn't resonate with you because there was no voice acting? Is that what you're going to tell me, Mr. Red Renegade? I might be overextending a little bit, but that scene could have worked out with voice acting, don't get me wrong, but that still felt like it was a very powerful scene, even without it. I don't know. He's supposed to be singing, by the way, and obviously there's no voice acting. Hello, the Spikeman. Hey, how's it going, guys? I just shit myself. That's why I'm standing weird. I'll just make up the voice acting if they won't say anything. Welcome on and all, guys, to the world of
According to the
Pokemon.
Game Freak leaks, Legends Arceus was supposed to finally add voice acting, but I guess they changed their minds? I hope Legends ZA
What the fuck? Mr. Renegade, you're making it very hard to like you, okay?
finally adds this feature because it's been long overdue. The game also just feels really unoptimized. There's no reason a Pokemon should have to be right in front of me in order to appear. That's absurd. I know a ton of people give Scarlet and Violet shit for running poorly, which is justified, but there's very...
Scarlet and Violet, again, Jeremy, again! Do we need to tell this? Was Sword and Shield really that bad featuring Scarlet and Violet? Do we need to do this 5 times, chat? 5 times he's done that now. Let's keep counting.
Same people let Sword and Shield slide, which is just really dumb and hypocritical. They're both guilty of the same thing. I love Scarlet and Violet, but I can admit when the game has faults. And this
Yeah, you've been doing that way too much in this video. Make the Scarlet and Violet video, loser. Leave this. I'm here for your fucking Sword and Shield takes, fella.
is one of its major faults. I remember in Sword and Shield, my game would run so poorly if more than just a few Pokemon showed up on my screen at a time. And I hated riding my bike a little too fast just for a whole Onix to show up and stop me in my tracks. And no, this isn't the fault of the Switch.
Can we see that example one more time, please?
A few Pokemon showed up on my screen at a time. And I hated riding my bike a little too fast just for a whole...
Now, don't get me wrong, that pop-in was really bad. But the fact that you were able to turn around and avoid it indicates that it isn't as bad as you think it was. Like, there was some pop-in SV where I genuinely couldn't move. Like the Pokemon literally just appeared in front of me and I was forced into an encounter. But instead you show an encounter where, yeah, the Pokemon popped in, but it was enough for you to turn around? Was it really that bad then? Maybe you could have used a different example here instead of the Onix encounter that you know is here. Maybe you could have. I don't know. I mentioned Scarlet and Violet again, didn't I? It's infecting me. It's infecting me. Looks inside video. Oh, another Scarlet and Violet rank. Oh, no. That's real nice.
Onix to show up and stop me in my tracks. And no, this isn't the fault of the Switch. There are plenty of games that have way more...
We not... Oh, guys. The video is bad, isn't it? The video is bad. Oh, no. Good lord, Mr. Renegade, you're not helping yourself.
Going on. And you can see enemies from really far away just fine. This is all Game Freak's fault for not optimizing their game. I think what the problem might be is that they don't have low poly versions of every Pokemon model. Typically in games, the further you are from something, the less polygons it has, so it doesn't have to put so much strain on your game. But I think Sword and Shield just tries to render it all at once and can't keep up. Even then though, I don't think that's what's going on. Since in the Pokemon camp, you have your entire party there and it runs just fine. So what exactly about the overworld makes it so terrible? It's not very graphically impressive, so it can't be that. It's just really confusing. Maybe it's the grass, to be honest. Sword and Shield's story was horrible, and that's putting it lightly. It was just extremely anticlimactic. I genuinely thought that the climax was the rising action of the game, and things were gonna get heated up afterwards, but no. It was just downhill from there, and everything de-escalated into nothing. I guess maybe if you had low expectations, the story would be cool, but the problem that I have is that they were hyping everything up leading to the climax. They were making the darkest day sound like an apocalyptic event, something that would have catastrophic events all around the region. I was sort of thinking something like the Ultra Beast, just traveling back to the previous parts of the region to stop something, but then it's over in like 30 minutes. Cool, I guess. I also just hated how often Leon took the spotlight. Anytime there was a conflict in old Pokemon games, you had to be the one to stop it, which makes...
Now, I kind of like the idea of Leon, like taking, quote unquote, taking a lot of spotlight from you. I don't necessarily mind that. In fact, like, it really just goes to show how important Leon is to the region of Galar. But I think it's just that the game didn't give you enough moments to shine in comparison, you know? That's what annoyed me. Like, the idea of, like, let's say there were, like, 5, like, major things that happened, and Leon just straight up taking 2 from you, but then you get to have 3, that would have been cool. But, like, the fact that, like, there were almost every instance of coolness Leon took it from you made it feel kind of shitty, you know? So, again, that's the level 2 opinion. But, of course, we're watching Rogue Renegade, and he's not going to have the level 2 opinion. So instead, he's just going to bitch about it, you know? But yeah, like I don't mind the idea of like the champion, you know, like Galar's strongest like trainer doing things. In fact, that's one of the 30-year-old man in Rogue. No, Rogue, we have to watch Breaking Bad. No, he's never going to watch Breaking Bad, don't worry. Yeah, that's his job. They made, it's just a shame that the game wasn't designed in a way to make it feel more fun. You know, that's a shame. That's the shame, really. And ideally, that's what he says. Hang on. Ideally, that's what he says. But I don't think he's going to argue Mr. Renegade.
Makes sense. You're the main character, and this is a video game. There wouldn't be much of a game if there's nothing to do. But now Leon is just doing everything for you. It honestly just feels like they had planned for the player to do most of these things, but they ran out of time and retconned it, so Leon did them instead off screen. I do really like Hop's story, though. I think...
What the... That was like level 0. Can you hear that again? That was like level 0. What the fuck?
Thing for you. It honestly just feels like they had planned for the player to do most of these things, but they ran out of time and retconned it, so Leon did them instead off screen.
No. Believe me, I don't like the SV, but it didn't feel like that at all. It just felt like they didn't write any like enough for you to do. Like, that's what it felt like to me. Oh my, no, Rogue Renegade. You just made something up. I've run out of storage space, unfortunately. You just made something up and called it a day. What the hell, bro? At least give me some analysis here. What's the point of you making videos? Oh man, no, Rogue Renegade, no. Gee, it's like a -2 take. I think it is. I don't know. There is sufficient disk space. You stupid lying fuck. I'm gonna have to download the VOD later.
I do really like Hop's story, though. I think he's a horrible rival, but a great character. Let me say that again. I think he's a horrible rival.
Oh, yes, thank you. Talks to the class clown in the corner who's making noise. Yes, I heard you the first time. We have to repeat it for the class clown in the corner. Yes, Mr. Renegade, do it, yes.
But a great character. You hear that? Do you have ears? I'm checking. I said something very similar.
Okay, hang on. Oh, don't tell me he's gonna... Okay, now, if you asked me, champ, hey, what makes Hop a good character but not a good rival? I would say I like Hop because he's essentially the younger brother of like Galar's greatest trainer of all time, right? So obviously he's only ever looked up to his brother, and ideally he gets to be the one. He's like put it in his own head that he's probably going to be, really wants to be the one that dethrones his older brother and gets to be the champion of Galar. So when he's met with these trials and tribulations in his story, especially with Bede knocking his confidence, he changes his team up sometimes. So like, I think one of the coolest things about Hop is that you can tell he's lacking confidence because instead of choosing the Pokemon he likes, he decides to go with a whole new team that he thinks will perform better. But then eventually kind of comes to himself and is like, no, listen, I need to be true to myself, and goes back to his old team. And then afterwards, when he loses to you, he's genuinely upset. You can tell he's genuinely upset. But then part of the post-game story is him figuring out maybe there's a different path for him. Like, obviously the path of being Galar's greatest champion went to you, the player character. So instead he found solace in being a professor's assistant. I thought it was actually a decently written story arc. It's like if Hop was written well. Sorry, How. It's like if How was written well. That's how I described Hop. It's How, but written better. And I like that about him. What's Rogue Renegade going to say, though?
If not the same in a previous video, and so many sensitive Hop fans.
Oh, no, he's just going to do the people online thing. Okay. Okay. Yes. Please yell at the kids in the corner. Yes, please, Mr. Renegade.
God, you hate him? I didn't fucking say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Yep.
Do you have ears? Do you have them?
Renegade.
Why do you have ears if you don't use them? Why do you have
I'm on the
ears
clock, Renegade. Renegade.
Renegade. Anyways, back to Hop.
Thank you.
Sometimes in life, you want something, but you just can't achieve it, no matter how hard you try. And that's okay. You just gotta find something that's right for you. Something that you can excel at. You don't have to follow in anyone's footsteps. I forget that Team Yell exists time and time again. And that's because they quite literally...
Is that all you had to say about Hop? Is that really all you had to say about Hop? So you went on a fucking people online rant?
Use them. Why do you have... You want something, but you just can't achieve it, no matter how hard you try. And that's okay. You just gotta find something that's right for you. Something that you can excel at. You don't have to follow in anyone's footsteps. I forget that...
So you didn't even relate that to Hop. Like, the viewer doesn't even know you're talking about Hop at this point, because you went on that dog shit tangent. You didn't even relate this to Hop's story. Yeah, that's the overall point in Hop's story. That's true. Yeah, you don't have to go, like you could always be a bit more, but like he just took what I said and made it sound worse. He literally just took what I said. Oh yeah, you didn't even need that long an explanation, chat. Do you know how I literally said it in like what? It took a minute for me to say it. A minute. But like, yeah, like Hop obviously looks up to his older brother a lot. He gets his confidence knocked by beat and tries to be something he's not. Realizes that he has to be true to himself. Ultimately gets beaten by you and is genuinely depressed. But then goes on to greener pastures. He didn't even say any of that shit. That's all he had to say. That was the abridged version. Rogue Renegade, this is a dog shit video, brother. I'm gonna be honest. You have not convinced me.
That Team Yell exists time and time again. And that's because they quite literally do nothing the entire goddamn fucking game. What was the point of making them if they're just gonna be a bunch of bench warmers? They're just Marnie's fans. And while
broken clock is right twice a day, chat. He's not wrong here.
that's a cool idea, I just feel like they didn't do enough in the story. They did like 2 big stunts and then just quit because Marnie was like, hey guys, stop. Okay. It would have been really cool to see them do more and more obnoxious things, all for the sake of spreading Marnie's name, and the world starting to hate Marnie for their actions. Marnie tells them, please stop, and they turn against Marnie, seeing it as their idol, not appreciating their fans or something, and basically having them ramp up their rampage even more. Marnie, as a result, shutting herself out from the world, feeling like everyone hates her, even those who once supported her. I know in the context of the story, it doesn't make sense, since they want her to succeed so they get out of the hood, but they could just rewrite it to make it make sense. I just wanted to see more of them, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it could end with Marnie having some speech at the Pokemon.
So I love how you've made up more story for Team Yell than you talked about Hop. Like, don't get me wrong, I think your concept for Team Yell is way more interesting than what they actually were, but you happily gave Marnie more, you know, more of your time, but you gave Hop nothing. Sexism? I don't know, gamers. Sexism in the Big 25 is crazy. I'm gonna go on this Rogue Renegade. Crazy stuff.
League for the world to see that she doesn't like her fans acting obnoxious, redeeming herself in the process. Just an idea. I'm throwing darts at a dartboard here. Also, just one more thing. They could have made it like a plot twist. Like the entire game, it seems like Marnie's like this corrupted like piece of shit, only adding to the world's hatred towards her. But then you confront her and you realize that she didn't want any of this. It would have made for a really nice plot twist. It's no secret Pokemon games have been getting easier, but Sword and Shield are extremely easy. It's basically just press A and
Marnie's a minor, just saying. I don't know, Mister, or the Yus. Why would you feel the need to type that in my live chat? Was I saying anything weird about Marnie, chat? I don't know, were you guys saying it? I wasn't saying anything weird. I don't know, brother. Check his hard drive. Check his hard drive, chat.
win simulator, which is why I usually intentionally play with my party under leveled.
I wanted to remind Rogue. I don't think... Did Rogue say... Oh, no, I don't think Rogue said anything that weird about Marnie neither, I'm going to be honest. Rogue is... It's a shit video, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a nonce, though. I don't think he's a nonce. It's a very strange allegation to make, Mr. Orr. You'd be careful if I were you.
So that every battle's a challenge. But when I stream the game to you people, you're wondering why...
Because you were saying about sexism. You can be sexism to girls as well, not just women. I don't know, Mr. Raw. I'd say stay away from the keyboard, brother. You're having an absolute howler right now. I'm gonna be honest. You're having an absolute howler.
I'm getting my ass kicked. That's the point. I want a challenge. If I level my Pokemon up anymore, I can just press A and win. And I don't want that. I think with enough strategy, you can win.
Oh, hang on. Sorry. I was not listening to anything you were saying, Rogue. I was just making fun of someone in my chat. So continue.
For a really nice plot twist. It's no secret Pokemon games have been getting easier, but Sword and Shield are extremely easy. It's basically just press A and win simulator, which is...
Wow, the baby game is a baby game. Wow. Crazy. Crazy stuff, Mr. Rogue Renegade. It's almost like you should play gamers. What should he play? I'm thinking of a certain game. I don't know. Shot of Ball? Lot of Gore? Sort of Saw? I don't know. Which game is it that's coming to my... I don't know. I can't think of anything. God of War? Yes! You should play God of War. You should play God of War. Yes! That's what you should do. That's what you should do. Yes! God of War!
is why I usually intentionally play with my party underleveled, so that every battle's a challenge. But when I stream the game to you people, you're wondering why I'm getting my ass kicked. That's the point!
Then don't stream it then, you fucking... I was actually just about to say that. Oh my god, chat. I need to calm down. I was just about to say the arsler. I actually had to stop myself. Oh my god, Rogue. You almost had me slurring in 2025. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Calm down. I'm a little too heated, chat. I'm a little too heated. Oh my lord. Then don't stream it, you dingus. Okay? Is that better, chat? Is that better? Thank you. Jesus Christ, yes! Yes! That's what... I want to be honest, chat. It's why I don't live stream Pokemon a lot of the time. It's because sometimes Pokemon fans can be really obnoxious. And when I do, I stream on Twitch where there's like only 10 of you guys there, alright? Because yes, Pokemon fans are obnoxious. I will admit, listen, I don't know much about the Pokemon fan base. But yes, if you decide to play Pokemon any differently from the norm, people are going to get fucking arsey about you. Don't stream it. Stream literally anything else, brother, I'm telling you. Stream literally anything else, okay? Ban them. We're gonna get hit from one streamer to another, ban them. I love banning people, okay? I fucking love banning people, okay? I love banning people. It's great. You should try it sometime. Just like you should try getting money. 35? I really think Pokemon fans need to play Dragon Quest so they can get better takes, because good grief! It must be the people online. Listen, I'm aware Pokemon fans are a different breed, okay? Pokemon fans are a different breed. If you play anything other than the norm, fellas, the COD days were crazy. Listen, Sponge, I don't want to talk about it, okay? We're moved on, we're going to move on.
I want a challenge! If I level my Pokemon up anymore, I can just press A and win.
Baby
and I don't
game.
want that. I think with enough strategy,
You're playing a baby game,
win,
Rogue.
even despite the level difference. And it feels super
Baby
satisfying
game.
afterwards. Anyways, they hype up Leon to be this unstoppable trainer. The best of the best the world's ever seen. So it just feels like a complete fumble that his battle didn't reflect that at all. Pierce's Pokemon were Eevee trained.
Now, don't get me wrong. Leon's battle was a bit... Especially due to the fact that he only had 5 Pokemon instead of 6. I will admit that. But you have to remember, okay? When you play a Pokemon game, especially as a way too grown adult to be complaining about the difficulty of Pokemon, you have the context of every other Pokemon game you've played before. So you know that when he sends out a Mr. Rhyme, it's an Ice and Psychic type. You can just bring in a Pokemon that is strong to Ice or Psychic, and you win. Or when he brings his starter that's stronger than yours, I think for me, I did Cinderace, so it was Inteleon. You could just bring an Electric type. Lily of the Valley, thank you so much. I'll see you later as well. But James back better say thank you. You better say thank you for the gifted son. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you later. But yeah, it's like, as I was saying, yeah, you have the context of every other Pokemon game that's come before, and as a result, the games might seem a lot easier to you than they actually are. I think as a champion fight, the only thing that disappointed me about Leon is that he only has 5 Pokemon. I wish he had 6. I wish he rounded out his team with the 6th Pokemon, but unfortunately he didn't. I do like the fact that his Charizard has a grass move, so that when he G-maxes, he can... Again, how many Pokemon Leon has? Hang on. All right, Notska. We're going to play a dangerous game, Notska, okay? If I was right, and Leon does in fact have 5 Pokemon, not 6. I meant to say 5. If I said 6, then I said it wrong. Then you're banned, okay? So he only has 5 Pokemon from what I remember. Oh, no, that's his first route. Where is Winden? If the player chose Scorbunny. Oh, he does have 6. Wait, when does he only have 5? I think it's only 5 for the... Wait, where am I only 5? Am I going crazy? I could have sworn he had 5. Oh, he has 5 for the... Oh, okay. Why does he only have 5? Wait, that's even weirder. Why does he only have 5 for the rematches? That's even stranger. Wait, what? Okay, I guess you were right. What did he lose? He still has a Dragapult. Still has Aegislash. What, is Mr. Rhyme is just gone? I'm like, what? Hang on, this is Grookey. What about this one? Scorbunny. No, he still got his Mr. Rhyme if he has Grookey. Or if he chose Scorbunny. What's gone? Is it the starter? It's not the starter. Is it Haxorus? Yes, Haxorus is just gone. For what reason? Why is it gone? Did he just forget his hand? Did he just leave it at home? Oh no! What strange fella. So he did have 5 Pokemon, I was right, just not during his initial battle. Iris took it back, it retired, maybe. Maybe he killed it like Blue's Raticate. Maybe he did that. Oh, well, consider me corrected then. But, okay, so I guess that's the one criticism gone then. I thought, yeah, other than that, I think his champion fight was decently good then. That would have been the one thing I would have knocked against it. But other than that, I think he has a decently solid team. Again, I think a lot of the types are repeating. Like, I think especially if you have, Sobble. No, not Sobble. If you have Grookey, then he has what, two fire types? A bit lame in that instance. 2 ghost types as well. So if you have a ghost type move, you can kill these 2 relatively easily. So not really good on the team diversity front, but these are some decently strong Pokemon, right? A decently good champion. He's not the worst. So I don't know. Anything you have to say about Leon? You're just wrong. You're just wrong, Mr. Renegade.
So I would have liked to see Leon's Team P EV trained as well. Just something to make his fight seem more memorable. You can't just hype him up just for him to be nothing. It's the exact same thing they did for the story. It just all...
You can't hype him up for him to be nothing? Again, I think his team is decently... He's got a good team. To say nothing is insane. That's what's confused me, right? Like, for me, his champion fight is like here. But like, bro, you're making it sound like it's all the way down here. Like... What are we doing here? You're not using a language as effectively as you probably should. Because is he the most memorable champion fight? No. Is he maybe a bit overhyped what the game says? Yeah. But he's like, when you say it was nothing, that's harsh. You're going to say this is better than Gita. You're going to look at me and say this is better than Gita. I would say his champion fight is easily better than Gita. His champion fight, I would say, is better than Wallace in Emerald. 100%. What is he guaranteed better than? I would prefer him over Lance. Like GSC, HGSS Lance. Rematch Lance? No. I like Rematch Lance a lot, actually. But the first Lance fight? Yeah, he's easily better than the first Lance fight. What else is he better than? Steven? Maybe Steven? I don't know. I do really like Steven. Cynthia, obviously not. Iris? I really like Iris. He's better than Aldo. He's definitely better than Aldo. Diantha? I would say he's probably better than Diantha because at least Leon is like in a game that's at least a little bit harder. I think Diantha's easily the worst trait is that she's in a game that's too easy. I think that's what ruins Diantha. I think her team is actually really, really solid. Professor Kukui, I like Professor Kukui's fight way more actually. Maybe against Hao in USUM, I don't know. But there's a lot of champions he's better than. Some that he's worse than, but a lot of champions he's better than. 100%. I don't know. I don't like this Leon slander. I'm going to be honest, brother. I'm going to be honest. You always have to talk about fights relative to the challenge of the game. Cynthia can be easy, but relative to Pokemon standards, she's super tough. I think Leon is in the upper half. Yes, I would agree as well. I'd agree with as well. You're just wrong, Mr. Renegade. I'm going to be honest. You're just wrong. You just can't help but be wrong, can you? You're just wrong all the time.
All feels so anticlimactic. All that build up just to do nothing with it. That's the main reason I just don't like Sword and Shield. The DLC allowed the player to walk around in the wild area with their Pokemon following them, which on paper sounds like a great idea, right? Everyone has been asking for this since forever ago, and now we finally have it. Here's the catch though. The Pokemon speed doesn't match the player's speed. So you either have a really slow Pokemon who can't even keep up with you and is just in this endless cycle of teleporting you, or you have a Pokemon that's too fast and catches up to you in 2 steps and stops and does that over and over again, and it's super nauseating. I feel like it was more work to implement every Pokemon speed instead of just having all of them at a fixed one. So why did they decide to do this? I don't know. Like, they had to have playtested it. There's no way. There's no way they thought this was fine. This was also the first Pokemon game that cost a full $60. And on top of that, they had the DLC that was repackaged stuff. So it was in total $90. So if a $90 game has even less features than what was present on a $40 game on older hardware, of course people are going to be mad. People were spending more money on arguably a worse product. And
Yeah, but... Okay, have I missed the point of this video? Because I'm like, was Sword and Shield really that bad? Like, I'm glad you're bringing back the controversies that happened back in the day, but what do you think about them now? That's what, like, if anything, that's what would make this video way more interesting. Like, if I'm going to make this video, it's, yeah, I'm going to talk about, the controversies of the past, but I'm going to relate them to how do we feel about them now? So it's like, when you say this is dog shit, I'm like, yeah, but like, when you replayed the game, ideally for this video, which is something you did, I really hope you fucking did. I hope you didn't make a video about Sword and Shield without replaying it. Because that would have been terrible, eh? I mean, you didn't finish the DLC, so I would say it's not an unfair accusation to say you didn't actually replay this game for the video. I don't know. But surely you've replayed it and figured out, like, oh, what's, like, overblown and what's correctly blown? I don't know, brother. This is boring me so far.
I do think this was kind of a shitty thing to do. I don't think the games should be lower price, but if they are going to cost more, I feel like the games shouldn't be looking like this, you know? And selling us older Pokemon is such a bitch move, especially after claiming that the reason they got rid of it was because they wanted to improve animation.
They're not, hang on, again, they're not selling you old Pokemon again. That's not, I mean, I guess technically they are, but, like, there's such a level 0 way of putting it. Like, what we... Like, I guess technically when I bought the SV DLC, right, and I went to Kitakami, and it added a bunch of old Pokemon to that game again, am I technically buying access to old Pokemon? Sure, but I'm also buying a whole DLC with a story, and I'm just like, what we... Yeah, and also he hasn't mentioned the one thing, which I'm glad you mentioned, Jezekai. He hasn't mentioned the one thing, which is you don't actually have to buy the DLC to use the Pokemon. If you still have them in your home, you can just transfer them over. Like, if anything, I actually quite like the fact that one of the cool parts about the DLC is that, oh, there's, like, some more returning Pokemon. It's a good selling point. I think so, anyway. Again, the way they went about it in this gen, less than stellar, sure, but, like, as a whole, in principle, I don't mind that as, like, a selling point. Because then it gives you a chance to go, oh shit, that Pokemon's back! Oh, I don't know, Renegade, man. This is boring, brother. You're so boring.
Which was just a lie.
This is boring.
And by the way, no, they didn't make the walking animations this generation either. Those have been there since Sun and Moon in the game files. Maybe even before that. It made Game Freak seem like such a shady company. How are we supposed to have good faith in a company that
Okay, but what do you think about it now, though? You're just rehashing shit from 5 years ago. What do you think now? Yes, it was shitty. But what do you think now? I want your opinions now, Mr. Renegade. I don't care about this.
lies to us, which, to be fair, is most companies, but at least they do a better job at lying. Anyone with eyes can see that nothing...
Oh, he's replaying the double kick animation, guys. Laugh.
Changed. The online, for what it was kind of terrible. For some strange reason, you had stamps to let people know what others were doing. Why? I don't know. You can't even interact with most of them. Yeah, it was cool if you had friends and this would show up, but why would it tell me about random people? Also, for some reason, they had a real...
I don't know. Like, it also did that in the player search system. I thought that was kind of cool. Sometimes you see some guy flexing that he caught shiny and you're like, oh, that's quite nice. He got shiny. I don't know, like...
Players walk around in the wild area, but they're more or less just ghosts. It's not real time, and you can't even interact with them. Scarlet and Violet later improved this way more, which I love, but I still don't understand what the point of it was in Sword and Shield. People also disliked...
It was maybe to make you feel like it was like a connected world, and more than just you playing the game. Again, it's like level 0, it's not even level 1 takes, chat. It's level 0. And in the worst place, you're just going to move on without addressing anything, aren't you? Like, you just talked about the controversies without giving us your opinion. What's your opinion? Give us your opinion. You're no stranger to giving us your opinions, but now you're just now you're not. You're like, it's like you're allergic. You're allergic, brother. What's...
All of the removed features from previous games. Mega Evolutions and Z-moves are no longer usable. The ability to turn off EXP share is just completely gone, and the GTS is just straight up gone unless you want to use...
Okay, hang on. Are you gonna, like, address any of those things? That's the question. Are you gonna address any of those things? Megas and Z-moves being gone. Hey, in the modern day, as of now, they've kind of established that they're going to do one gen, one gimmick. Now is the time for you to say, hey, is this gen's gimmick good? Is this a good thing for the series as a whole? Would you rather them come back? The GTS, it's on your phone. Where's my... I don't have my phone. It's on your phone. Is it better being on the phone? Is it worse being on the phone? The XP share being on by default. I would say that other than Gen 6, where obviously it wasn't built for, it's made for a nice difficulty curve without having to grind. Is he going to talk about any of these things, chat? Place your bets now. Is he going to talk about any of these things? No. He's just going to bitch about them and then move on. Or maybe go, people online.
Use the shitty mobile app, which I don't really see the
shitty mobile... What makes it shitty? No, I'm being honest. What makes it... As far as I'm concerned, I can go on my phone, see what's going on. Literally, I'm on the bus, and I can go, what's people got on the GTS? I put something, did anyone trade it? Oh, neat. What makes that shitty? I've never had any performance issues with it. It's never performed poorly for me. What makes it bad? Again, is he gonna mention the thing that, hey, it is in principle it should be in the game? Sure, but you're just gonna go for mobile app bad? Is that literally? Is level 0? He's not even level 1, chat.
Point in. I can live without Mega Evolution and Z moves since I feel like they were really niche even if they were cool, but the other two had no reason to be gone. Some people just don't like using the EXP share to give themselves more of a challenge, which the game...
Okay, are you gonna mention that it's perfectly balanced? Is again, in principle I can agree, removing options is always bad. Everyone should have their own option. But with the XP share, it's one of the few times where I'm like, I'm okay with them removing the option, since I would say from Gen 7 onwards, they've done an extremely good job of adjusting the curves so it works perfectly. So it's like, again, just a part, you get to convince us, Road Renegade. Use your arguments. Use your people online. Come on, it's your chance.
Game is in desperate need of. And it would have been really simple to just implement, but they still chose not to do it. We have mediocre graphics, horrible animations, no voice acting.
Again, he's gonna rehash all the... Oh, it's boring. Seymour, the house is so boring. This is unreal.
That story, a lot of missing features. What the hell happened? By no means was this game the greatest Pokemon game ever, but it wasn't bad per se. I know we all have a ton of complaints about it, but that's from a diehard Pokemon's fan point of view. To your average person, or someone who hasn't played many other Pokemon games, this game is perfectly fine, and I can see why someone would love this game. Do I think it's worthy of a 9.3 star rating?
And oh my god, Cinema. And at the very end of it all, chat, he mentions IGN. Fucking Cinema. It all comes around full circle. That's the level of take we can expect from Rogue Renegade. He's complaining about IGN in the big 2024 chat. 2024. He's gonna bitch about IGN. Good lord, Mr. Renegade, get a life, lads.
Rating? Hell no. While not a bad game, again, I do think it's one of the weaker, if not the weakest Pokemon game out there, going by modern standards anyway. It wouldn't be fair to judge Pokemon Red and Blue using modern day standards, because they would just suck, I'm sorry. We judge them based on the time they came out. Red and Blue had nothing else to compare it to.
And yet you spend most of this video not doing that? You spend most of this video, when you talk about all of SWSH's bad points, you just mention the controversies of the time without relaying them back to how you feel about them now. So if anything, you didn't do that. You did. Hang on, can I hear that again? Can I hear that again, please? Hang on.
Modern standards anyway. It wouldn't be fair to judge Pokemon Red and Blue using modern day standards, because they would just suck, I'm sorry. We judge them based on the time they came out. Red and Blue...
Yeah, but like... Surely it's... Hang on, you're not wrong. You're not necessarily wrong, right? But surely that's the fun of a retrospective. Surely that's the fun of a retrospective, is that you take a game that came out this many, like, X amount of time ago and compare it to how it came out now. That's the fun of it. If anything, that's what I thought this video was going to be. That's what I was led to believe from the premise of this video. That, yes, is it technically unfair when you do that? Yeah, but retrospectives are just a really fun thing to do. Like, if I was to compare Pokemon Red and Blue to the modern day, yeah, it's not gonna fare well, but it'd still be interesting to talk about. Like, what does a 30-year-old game still do that by modern standards is genuinely quite interesting? If anything, I would say, despite being a formula that's worked for 30 years, I would say the creature collecting aspect of Pokemon Red and Blue is still really, really fun. The fact that you can go into any grassy patch and find basically any weird creature is still really fun. The catharsis of knowing what Pokemon used to be back in the day is quite interesting, I would say. The general game design of what Kanto was compared to the more linear design of today, I would still say is relatively interesting. Again, that's the fun of doing a retrospective. All you've done is rehash. I mean, you spoke about some of the good things. The video was way more interesting when you were speaking about the good things about Sword and Shield, because it seemed like you went back and played it and were like, oh, I actually really appreciate this whole thing. But the whole video was just bogged down by like 17 minutes of you just bringing up, hey guys, remember this controversy? And it's like, yeah, but what do you think about it now? What do you think about it now? That's what I want to know. And you never spoke about any of it. This sucks, bro. This is like the worst. Is this why people hate Pokemon content? I get it. This fucking sucks. As long as you're not super disingenuous, a retrospective in the modern day is very interesting. It could have been. Like, and the worst part is, I went into this video genuinely wanting my mind changed because I have not played Sword and Shield since launch. So when you made this video, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I want to know, like, what about it by 2020? Listen, I've still got a sore throat, okay? I said be nice to me. I said you guys have to be nice to me, okay? My throat is still fucked. So when you make a video in 2024 about Sword and Shield, I'm expecting a bit of retrospectiveness, but I got like barely any of that. What was the point of this, brother? Honestly, what was the point of this?
Blue had nothing else to compare it to, so it was great.
This is worse than Mario Kart YouTube, okay? Fucking hell.
For the time being. But Sword and Shield has so many Pokemon games to compare it to, and in many regards, it's lacking. It's just not up to par with them. I can see why you would love this game though, especially if it's one of your first Pokemon games. I mostly just think that these games were really bland and didn't really try to innovate much. Instead of building on the Pokemon formula, it seems like they watered it down and just spoon-fed it to us. And whether—
Okay, but again, in the modern day, is it better? Is it worse? Is it? I don't know. Maybe you could have talked about that.
that was because of laziness or time constraints, the results were still the same. The only real innovation this game had was the wild area, but it was still lacking in a lot of ways. Thankfully though, it did set the groundwork for Scarlet and Violet, and I really like the open world in that game. Even if it can be buggy and it is pretty barren, it was pretty fun seeing new Pokemon in new areas. I honestly think the biggest problem Pokemon faces is making every game from scratch every time. This just isn't viable, especially for these new style of games. Older Pokemon games used engines from the previous game. Fire Red and Leaf Green use the same engine as Ruby and Sapphire. Heart Gold and Soul Silver use the same engine as Diamond and Pearl. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire use the same engine as X and Y. And as a
Is this boring? Let's skip ahead a little.
like, oh my god, what the hell? It's just a combination of the game being so lacking and also the graphics being lacking.
Well, my issue is it feels like he's too afraid of backlash. Yeah, I feel like he's too afraid of backlash, and he's too afraid to actually put the time to make an interesting video. Is this another video I add to the list, chat? Do I make this video but better? Do I replay Sword and Shield just to spite this guy? To make a better video than him? I'll literally title the exact same thing just to steal his fucking ad revenue? I might just do that.
It just makes me mad. While I do think some of the textures are pretty terrible.
Because if anything, that's all you've done, Mr. Renegade. You've made me just want to make a video better than this. But it involved me replaying Sword and Shield, and I kind of don't want to do that. So I don't know.
Animations are really bad. I have no defense for that.
Oh my god, this is boring.
Many people make it out to be. Again, I would in no way put this in my top 10 favorite Pokemon games, but I do like Sword and Shield for what it was. While there are a lot of things I wish were executed better, the game isn't bad by any means. And again, I just want to say this video
People
isn't here to
online.
attack people who like Sword and
People online. He ends it with people online. Cinema.
Shield. It's actually the complete opposite. It's also not meant to spark anything. It's just an honest, unbiased look back on Sword and Shield. I think most of the hatred we
This was an honest, boring look at Scarlet. So I was about to say this is an honest, boring look back at Scarlet and Violet, but this is what this video partially was.
all feel comes from
Absolute
the
slop.
Like, I feel like if I just played this game isolated from society, I wouldn't have as big of a problem as I do with it. I don't think my perception of the story would have changed though. That shit is just genuinely terrible and I can't excuse it. How do you go from Sun and Moon having one of the best stories in a Pokemon game to this? Seriously, what the fuck? Anyways, let me know what you guys all think.
I love the story. You mean the story that you didn't like break down and explore at all? Do you mean that story that you didn't describe in the slightest? Why it was bad? No?
Think in the comments. I think I'm sick or something. Subscribe, like the video, comment, follow
I am not going to do any of those other things, but I'm going to be honest with you. This video was fucking boring. And I'm sad as well, because as someone who's not played Sword and Shield, I was looking forward to like someone's refined retrospective, and it turns out I got nothing but dog shit. And you know what, if me reacting to this video of yours is also anything to go by, I just think that you're probably one of the most boring YouTubers I've ever watched. I'm gonna be honest, brother. And that's me being honest. That's me being frankly quite honest, because I mean the only parts of your video were actually quite interesting is when you talked about the things you liked, because again, seeing someone praise Scarlet Violet, seeing someone praise Sword and Shield was quite interesting, because it's something that the game doesn't get. The game generally tends not to get a lot of credit for the things that it pulled off quite well, because its legacy is it shits therefore. But when you ended up just doing that for the rest of the video without like expanding on the conversation the slightest, this video just failed to do anything interesting. Like Mr. Starlight puts it quite succinctly when he says, we got a 2019 review in 2024. It's like, yeah, what was the point of this? What was the point of any of this? Like, actually, what was the point of any of this? Like, if anything, you didn't even mention one of the most interesting things about the wild area. Like, I think one of the interesting things about the wild area is that, like, it fuses the idea of classic Pokemon catching with the new idea of being able to see what Pokemon you find. And I think that's an aspect of Pokemon that I don't think we're ever going to get again, that Sword and Shield did quite interestingly. It was interesting to see like a transition from the standard Pokemon catching formula to what we got in SV, which is a middle ground where, yeah, there's Pokemon in the overworld, but there's also grassy patches that you can also find Pokemon in. And there's going to be some people who, I guarantee in 10 years when they look back, will probably say that the Sword and Shield version of how they did this concept was actually way more interesting, and I can definitely see that happening. Do you see how I've had a much more interesting conversation about the wild area than Rogue Renegade ever fucking did, because he's boring? Amazing, isn't it? Amazing that I can come up with like shit off the top of my dome when I'm ill, my brain is working at half capacity, than your whole fucking video did. Yeah, this came out last month, by the way. That's why I'm being so mean to this video. If this came out in 2019, this would have been fine. I wouldn't have watched this. This would have been fine. But this came out 2 months ago. Or like a month and like 6 weeks ago. Fucking boring, lad. Absolutely boring. Let's go digging. Let's go digging for gold. Maybe we might find something. Maybe. Probably not, I don't know. Oh. Also, can we have some Dimitri is over. Sabletooth, Dimitri December was last month, brother. Dimitri's over. I ain't covering that guy. I don't know who he is. Oh, no. Road Renegade Rebrary. Oh, literally, Pog Trick. He says it. Game Freak released a new game. Fans complain and talk about how great the past game was. Repeat. Even Pog Trick knows. The cycle. He knows. Good lord. The cycle repeats it. Everyone knows. Unreal. Actually unreal. I hate when Pokemon fans call Pokemon games lazy. They're not. They're rushed in under 3-year development time. People don't understand a big 3D game takes long to develop. When we played Switch and SV, I don't see laziness. I see a lack of time and to flesh out everything, leading to an underwhelming experience. Mega Infer Goku, could you make a YouTube video, please? This would be way more interesting than whatever the fuck we just watched. I love that the Pokemon anime frames deflect your emotions. I'm glad someone appreciates it. I'm gonna be honest, Rogue Renegade, I don't. I'd rather you just use the face cam, because the anime stills are fucking obnoxious, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to mention that because, hey, you're editing, I don't care, but yeah, I'd rather just the face cam, buddy. All right, I want to see that trash in the background of your room. Clean your room, all right? Clean your room, Mr. Renegade. It's actually obnoxious, but hey, whatever. I'd rather we play Sword and Shield than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Boring. I agree with this video, and it's refreshing to see such a nuanced take. No blind hatred, but no bootlicking neither. Boring? You meant to say boring? This video was boring. That's what this was. It was fucking boring. What about this was nuanced? Did some people just put like their videos on in the background without anything? There were no takes in this video. There was nothing. There was nothing. Unreal. Fence sitting is more like it, honestly. To be fair, the story was kind of bad. I understand not wanting a kid or teenager dealing with a crisis that can end a region. Let the adults do it. But it backfired on Game Freak. Yeah, that's true. Using big words to sound smarter. I could fall asleep to this video. So could I, to be honest. He probably just woke up and was like, oh yeah, it helped me fall asleep. Rogue sleep. What should you do? Sleep Renegade? Did you do that? I still almost hated games, even after 5 years. I've never been so angry at a game before. It marked the point where the devs no longer cared about making a good game, but only wanted money. The fact that they straight up lied to everyone's face is something I'll hold forever against them. They deserve the backlash, and still haven't learned from the mistakes after everything Gen 9, even if Scarlet and Violet are guilty pleasures of mine. The Switch is definitely the dark age of this franchise, and I'm not going to pray things get better from here with the new console, although I doubt it. Crazy lad. Have you tried playing God of War? Is it? Can I be honest? That sounds like a comment I'd write on a Dimitri video. One thing I made the debate. Oh yes! Oh my god, dungeons? Rogue Renegade, you didn't even mention the lack of dungeons? No way. Rogue Renegade, it's almost as if you didn't play the game but wanted to make a video for some free ad revenue. Oh my god, Mr. Renegade. Wow, you should have talked about maybe the one thing that was extremely lacking in this game. The lack of dungeons. Crazy. Yeah, crazy chicanery. And we'll leave the comments there. Actually, let's sort by new. Hang on. What are the new people have to say? Is this a safe place to say Switch are my favorite games? Gen 5 is a close second. Please don't dox me. I'd delete this comment if I were you. Honestly, I'd be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. Very, very careful. Guys, it's wrong to say Pokemon Sword my favorite games of all time? Have you tried playing God of War, Galactica? Why does someone buy a game and then hate it because trees graphics? A very important question, Mr. Walker Solberg. I don't think we'll ever get an answer to that. Shield was my first Pokemon game. Thanks for telling us, Isaiah. Say what you want about Swish, but setting the official battles in a sports arena with a massive crowd, this is how it should have been. And after the championship battle, Leon was peak experience or standout amongst Pokemon games. Hey, not wrong. Return to us. You manifested the next video. Please stop making videos. Yes, it was bad. Alright, we'll leave it there. The profile pic? What profile pic? I don't know what profile pic we're talking about. Either way, Mr. Renegade, do better, little gup. Do better. You're boring. You're boring, and you need to get better. But we'll leave that video there.